Welcome to the table with me, Rosana Santos, Calambichis. This is the Food Business Blueprint podcast. Today's episode falls into our first operator's reflection, just a table in Brazil and what it has taught me about this industry. Every time I return to Brazil, something happens at the table that happens nowhere else in the world. My plate becomes embarrassingly large. Anywhere else, I pace myself. I choose carefully. I tell myself I have had enough. In Brazil, all of that disappears. Another cut arrives at the table. A garçon pauses beside me, skewer in hand, and I say yes. Then another arrives, and I say yes again. Before long, my plate is overflowing, and everyone at the table takes it as given. At a Rodizio, abundance is not excess. Is simply part of the experience. The Rodizio stands as Brazil's signature contribution to the dining world. From neighborhood establishments to elegant churrascarias, its spirit remains remarkably consistent. Continuous service, generous variety, and hospitality expressed through the pleasure of sharing good food. The salad bar comes first, an impressive collection of fresh vegetables, cheeses, cured meats, salads, hot dishes, and traditional accompaniment that in many restaurants would easily stand on their own as a complete meal. Soon afterward, the pasadores began making their rounds through the dining room, carrying long skewers of meats roasted over open fire, carving each selection tableside with confidence and precision. Picanha, the prized top sirloin cap that has become synonymous with Brazilian churrasco, arrives perfectly seasoned. Its exterior carries the deep caramelization that comes from careful roasting, while the center remains tender and beautifully pink. A cold caipirinha rests nearby, its citrus brightness balancing the richness of the meal. Every few minutes, another skewer appears, each offering a different cut, another flavor, another invitation to have more. The meal continues until the table decides it has had enough. I have enjoyed the experience countless times as a guest. I have also spent enough years in the business to know what is happening beyond the dining room. Over 2 decades across the food industry, from operator to author, from the back of the house to the page, writing the food business blueprint. Few restaurant formats are operationally demanding as the Rodizio. Guests experience easy generosity and effortless service. Behind that experience is an operation built on remarkable discipline. The room tells its own story before the first skewers even arrives. The smell of open fire drifting from the back of the house, the low hum of conversation building as tables fill. Servers moving between guests with the ease of people who have done this 1,000 times and still enjoy it. A small card sits at every page setting, one side green, the other ready, waiting for the customer to flip it as they decide the pace of their own meal. Every cut of meat follows a carefully planned sequence. Timing determines on each skewer reaches the fire, how long it cooks, how it's held, and when it's carried into the dining room. The pasadores moves continuously, reading the rhythm of the room while coordinating with the kitchen to maintain variety without interruption. The salad bar presents its own operational challenge. Every dish must stay fresh, attractive, and consistently replenished. Portions have to be managed with care and presentation coordinated across multiple stations, all while the display stays visibly abundant and waste stays under control. Then comes the number every operator understands. Purchasing, inventory, yield, labor, food cost per cover, forecasting, production schedules. Each decision shapes the next. Every percentage matters in a format built entirely around letting guests eat as much as they wish. Profitability comes from managing the operation with extraordinary precision, while never letting the guest feel that precision at all. Now, picture the same restaurant without that discipline. A kitchen guessing instead of forecasting. A salad bar running short by evening service. A pasador standing idle because the fire was not managed. The abundance the guest expects would collapse within a single service. That is the gap between a rodizio that feels effortless and one that simply feels chaotic. The difference is never the concept, it's always the operation behind it. The guests control the pace with a simple red and green card. The operation controls everything else. Standards, communication, preparation, leadership. Every system works quietly in the background so the experience feels completely natural. Every time I return to Brazil, I am reminded that culture and operation are never compete with one another. They support one another. The warmth of the dining room begins with discipline in the kitchen. The generosity offered to every guest is sustained by thoughtful purchasing, careful planning, well-trained people, and leaders who understand that hospitality carries both emotional and operational weight. If you are building a food business of any size, this is worth sitting with. Every moment your customers love in the dining room rests on a systems they never see. The warmer and easier the experience feel, the more disciplined the operation behind it usually is. It is easy to admire the front of the house and overlook everything that made it possible. The playlist, the lighting, the way a server remembers a name, all of it matters. None of it survives on its own without a kitchen that runs on discipline long before the doors open. The guest who say yes to another slice of canha, enjoy another sip of caipirinha, or stay for another conversation displays complete confidence in the operation. They trust that every promise made in the beginning of the meal will continue until the very last bite. That trust is the real product. The food introduces it. The operation protects it. Every enduring business, regardless of its concept, is ultimately making the same promise. Every time I watch my place grow embarrassingly in Brazil, I smile. I am reminded that food carries much more than nourishment. It carries culture, it carries generosity, it carries memory, it carries connection. Unforgettable feast begins with the foundation. Thank you for joining me at the table. Until next time, this is the Food Business Blueprint Podcast.